Hi, it's Rich Tehrani here. We're in the TMC newsroom. We are at Interop, and it is 2010 here in Las Vegas. On our program today is Gene Kim, who is the CTO and founder of Tripwire. Gene, how are you?
I'm doing great, Rich. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well.
Awesome.
I thought if we could start out, could you give me the overview of what your company does for customers?
Yeah, our company, Tripwire, is really helping customers with three big problems. One is the fact that security data breaches keep happening. There have been more data security breaches just for credit cards in 2009 than there were in the previous 3 years combined. So despite all of the corrective actions that the industry is trying to take, and despite all the additional screws being tightened on organizations that process credit cards by the payment card industry, breaches keep happening. The second thing that we help organizations with, that they're all grappling with, is the notion that they are actually spending a lot of money and time and resources on deploying technologies to try to prevent data breaches from happening. But the problem is that they're generating a lot of data, but it's not helping these organizations make decisions. And so what that means is that all this data is being generated that is being shipped straight to the landfill, right? So in fact, you could probably say that you could actually turn those data feeds off, right? And you'd end up with the same results.
Right.
I think the third thing that almost every organization is facing is, because of this economic environment that we're in, there's more and more scrutiny put on IT security budgets. And so what this means from a information security officer perspective, they need to focus on fewer and fewer strategic vendors. So I think those three things really set the landscape for what almost every information security practitioner is facing. One is, how do you prevent data breaches from happening? Two is, how do you get some reasonable ability to prevent them from happening and be able to detect and quickly correct when they do occur? And the third thing is, how do you focus on fewer and fewer tools to meet more and more requirements for achieving security goals?
And the founding of your company is really quite interesting.
Yeah, so I wrote the original version of Tripwire back when I was a student of Dr. Gene Spafford's back at Purdue in 1992. So in the middle of the cornfields, we released this tool called Tripwire, which was really designed to help prevent things like the Morris worm from happening, where in 1988 it took down 10% of the systems on the internet, but luckily there were only 30,000 systems on the internet at the time. And so the unintended consequence of releasing that tool was that became one of the most widely used security tools for Unix. And so we commercialized the technology in 1998, and so we've been around for 12, 13 years, and now we have 6,500 customers, really helping to prevent security breaches from happening and helping them detect and correct when they do occur.
So if I have a security breach in my company, I'm faced with a massive amount of logs that I've got to try to sift through and try to figure out what happened, what went wrong.
Yep.
Are there any ways that your company helps with the problem of sifting through a massive amount of log files?
Absolutely, and I think this is just a critical problem. One of the regulations that the payment card industry requires. So this is any merchant that takes does e-commerce everywhere to the hot dog stand down the street. Is if they do process electronic credit card transactions, they must retain all log files. And this is so that when the security breaches occur, that plays a role of the black box, right? So that when the plane crashed into the mountain, we can actually reconstruct what happened. The problem is that it takes too long to figure out, for the millions or billions of events that happen a day, which needle in the haystack is the actual indicator of a security breach from happening. So one of the things that we do is really create not only the visibility of all the events that are happening in the organization, but also the intelligence, so that you know which needle, where are the needles in the haystack, and to be able to quickly prosecute them. And then automation, right, is how do you reduce the tedious, manual, error-prone tasks that you have to process every time that you process one of these log events. So visibility, intelligence, and automation is the three things we deliver through three products. We call it configuration assessment. But how do you make sure that your critical infrastructure is in a secure state, configured securely? How do you then maintain its security over time by monitoring changes? And then third is, how do you have situational awareness and be able to collect all the log information and be able to act quickly and appropriately when bad things occur.
And that's so important to be able to respond quickly because it takes a long time for companies to realize that they've had a breach, right?
This is a shocker, right? The Verizon Business Systems, they did a study and they found that on average, when security breaches occur, it takes multiple quarters for them to actually detect that something bad happened. I think the real kind of shocker of a fact is that it wasn't like that someone sort of found a smoking gun report. It was actually a business partner who finally gave them a call and said, look, we've had 100 million fraudulent payments, and they have one thing in common. They all came from, made a purchase at your organization. So it means that security officers are really asleep at the wheel, right? Is that they aren't the ones figuring out that they've been robbed, right? It's a business partner. And so it is so important. The mean time to detect and disposition these events is just a critical problem that organizations are struggling with, and we can help.
So I'm going to end on a personal note. You just had twins a month ago, and I wanted to congratulate you.
Thank you very much.
And also say that for someone who has 2 babies at home and probably not sleeping a lot, your passion and enthusiasm for helping your customers comes through.
Oh, thanks. Thank God for caffeine. I appreciate that.
And so one final thing, we have, let's say 20 seconds left. What's the future? What are you going to do for customers going forward?
Yeah, I think it really is, the thing that frames our strategy is all about what we call VIA, the visibility, intelligence, and automation. One is how do you make sure that you have situational awareness, but situational awareness is not enough if you can't tell what's most important, right? What's creating the most risk, and that's what we're calling intelligence. And how do you reduce the amount of calories required to turn that crank and process all those events? And that's what we're calling automation. So I think if we do those 3 things, we'll help organizations prevent bad things from happening, especially security breaches. And then, when they do occur, because Murphy does exist, how do you quickly detect and correct? And if you do those things, you'd be not only compliant, but also secure.
It's fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the
Thank you,
program.
Rich. I appreciate
This was great.
Thank you.